Hi, welcome to the section of Core Java. In this section, we'll see the most important properties of Core Java that are required for us for writing our MapReduce programming. Yeah. First of all, we'll see what is the history of Core Java or history of Java. Java has been invented by James Gosling, who belonged to Sun Microsystems. Okay, this has been invented at Oak. Okay, on May 20, 1995. Yeah, Hot Java is the first web browser enabled on Java. And we have editions of Java like Java SE, which is a standard edition. We have Java EE, which is enterprise edition, and we have Java ME. Okay, Java SE is something which we are going to discuss now, and Java EE, which is an enterprise edition, will be used for developing some enterprise class applications like Android. Okay, this is the history of Java. So what are the characteristics of Java and which made Java so famous? Yeah, Java is so simple and object oriented. Of course, we are going to discuss in detail about what is an object. Yeah, and it is distributed. It can distribute the work among different JVMs. JVM is nothing but Java Virtual Machine. Java is an interpreted high-level programming language. It's robust and secure. That's why most of the banking applications will be developed on Java because it's robust and secure. It's architectural neutral. That's the reason why Java is most portable programming language. It can be moved across any architecture. It's architectural neutral and portable. And Java has a very great performance. That's why Java is called as performance oriented. And of course, it's multi-threaded and dynamic. These are the most important characteristics of Java that made Java so famous, yeah, and most powerful. And we have something called class in Java. A class is nothing but a template or blueprint that describes state and behavior of an object. I'm repeating, a class is a template or blueprint that represents or describes the characteristics and state and behavior of an object. Yeah, so we have we have an object which is nothing, which has state and behavior. Okay, and that is an instance of the class. Object is an instance of a class which has state and behavior. Okay, when I had to talk in a programming language, the value stored in a variable is nothing but an object. Object state is nothing but a value stored in a variable. Okay, now object holds values of its class attributes. Of course, the attributes of the class will be held by the object. That's why we call object as an instance of a class. So this is the syntax of writing a class. We have class name, and then we have declared the variables here. Okay, so this is the syntax. For any class, you got to give, and while naming the class, you can give a capital letter at the start. Yeah, and while naming the variable, you can give them in a small letter. For example, name, first name. If we are going to declare a variable called first name, you'll write FIRSHT in small letter and then capital N, small a, ME. That's the orientation or the representation for declaring a variable. Okay, these are the variables, and we have something called methods. And to talk in a programming language, method is something which shows the behavior of an object. Yeah, so method is something which shows the behavior of an object. So this is a method. This is how you declare your method. When I declare void and method, that it means it doesn't return anything. When you declare any data type, that shows that this method returns something. Okay, so this is how you can declare a class in Java. And we have something called access modifiers. We have public, protected, private, and default access modifier, which I have given it as a no access modifier here. Yeah, this is a no access modifier. When you declare your class as public, class or a method as public, it can be accessed by the same class, and it can be accessed by all the classes in the same package, and subclass and other packages as well. That means this doesn't provide any security. It can be accessed by the global level classes. Okay, we didn't provide any restrictions to a public access modifier. When you declare it as a protected, your same class, same package, and your subclass can access it, whereas other packages cannot access it. That's a minimal level protection which we are offering through protected modifier. When you don't declare any modifier, which is a default modifier, then that particular class can be accessed by the same class, same package, but even a subclass and other packages cannot access it. Okay, that's the use of a default modifier. When you declare something, a class or a method, as a private, it can be accessed by the same class, but it cannot be accessed by same package classes or subclasses or other packages. This is a high level of security that can be offered to your class or a method using an access modifier called private. Now, there are three different types of variables in Java. One is local variable, instance variable, and class or a static variable. So, what is a local variable? The variable that is declared inside a method or constructor is called a local variable. And these local variables will be destroyed when the methods are complete, as these are pertaining to a method or a constructor, and are initialized within the method, and access modifiers cannot be used for local variables. Yeah, we cannot specify any access modifiers for your local variables. And coming to an instance variable, non-static variable is nothing but an instance variable. Instance variables, as the name signifies, these variables are per instance or object basis. Okay, if 5 instances of one class is created, then 5 copies of instance variables will be created, as instance variables are one per your instance or an object. This can be created by using a keyword called new. Open and close braces will create an instance variable. And coming to the last section, which is a class or a static variable. Okay, this class or static variables are instantiated when a class is loaded into the JVM. Okay, these are like global variables. Only when a class is instantiated, okay, when the first time the class is loaded into the JVM, these variables will be instantiated. These are like global variables and can be used to store the value which is static in nature, and has some value for all the instances, because as and when a class is loaded into the JVM, it gets instantiated, so it can have value for all the instances. Okay, this is what a class or a static variable is, and these are the types of variables that are available in Java. And coming to the most important property of a constructor, most important property of Java, which is nothing but a constructor. Okay, every class will have a constructor, and these will be same as the class name. Okay, if you do not explicitly declare or write a constructor, Java compiler builds a default constructor. And constructors are differentiated by the number and the types of their arguments. These are some example of method overloading, because if you declare a method with some name and another method with the same name can be declared, but it will accept different arguments. Both methods will accept different arguments, and its return types also might differ. The functionality itself might differ. Okay, that's we call it as a method overloading, and that can be given as an example for constructor. Like I said, if you don't define a constructor, a default constructor will be created. And most important thing you got to remember is, when you declare a method with same name as class, we call that as a constructor. Okay, so we will move on to the next important property of Java, which is nothing but inheritance. Inheritance can be defined as the process where one object acquires the properties of other. Okay, so if you have an object, it can acquire the properties of another object, like an son and a parent. Parent inherits the properties of his father, and father inherits properties of their parents. Like a child can inherit the properties of its parents, and their parents can inherit the properties of their parents, right? So inheriting is nothing but one object acquiring the properties of others. With the use of inheritance, the information is made manageable in a hierarchical ladder. We can manage our information in the process of an hierarchy. When we talk about inheritance, the most commonly used keyword would be extends and implements. Implements is nothing but we'll use it for implementing an interface. Interface is nothing but an skeleton. I mean, interface is something which provides only skeleton of your method but not the actual definition. The subclass which is implementing that has to implement an superclass or an interface. Extends is we'll use when a subclass is extending the properties of its superclass. Let's see an example here. We have a class called animal, and we have another class called mammal which extends animal because mammals are part of animals, and we have reptile which again extends animal, and we have class called dog which extends mammal. Here animal is a superclass for both mammal and reptile, whereas mammal is a superclass for dog. So dog can inherit the properties of both mammal and animal. Yeah, so this is inheritance concept in Java. We have something called polymorphism. Polymorphism is nothing but ability of an object to make many forms. Okay, so the most common use of polymorphism in object oriented programming occurs when a parent class reference is used to refer a child class object. Yeah, so when a parent class is used to reference a child class object, this polymorphism is mostly used. So let's see an example on how we write a polymorphism. Let's say that we have an interface which is a vegetarian, and we have something called public class animal. So when we talk about something called deer, deer is both an animal and a vegetarian. So what it does is it extends the properties of its superclass which is animal, and again it implements an interface called vegetarian. So one form which is deer is existing in more than one form. Yeah, one object which is deer is existing in more than one form. That's why we call it as an example for polymorphism. Yeah, so this is the section which we had discussed. We'll explain you briefly on core Java concepts that are required for you to write your MapReduce coding. As we know that we write our MapReduce coding using Eclipse. We create a jar file. Once we create your superclass, that means mapper, reducer, and our driver class. So these are the main concepts that are required for writing MapReduce in Java. So in this section we had discussed about what is Java and where it is required, and how do we write what is the access modifiers in Java, and the other properties like inheritance we had discussed, polymorphism we had discussed, and we had discussed something about constructor. Yeah, and we have seen how to write a superclass and a subclass. We have seen what are the different types of variables that are available in Java. Hope you had enjoyed watching this video. This will definitely benefit you while working on MapReduce programming. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Bye bye.